Jeez. Oh. And yeah. I don't want to be that guy that spends his whole time talking about the weather, but we're gonna have to talk about the weather. Today is day one of what should be 3 consecutive dry days. It is now 9 o'clock in the morning and it has just stopped raining. We had 1 inch of rain yesterday. We've had 4 inches of rain, that's 4 inches of rain over the last week, and the place is looking pretty wet. Now, the reason I was getting excited was I was thinking 1 day of drying, 1 day of mowing, 1 day of baling, raking and wrapping, and then we'd worry about getting the bales out of the field whenever we got a chance. We've got about 100 acres to mow, but I think we'd probably get maybe 30 or 40 done if we were lucky. Now, I am forever the optimist, but even I'm starting to feel like it's a bit wet. And if you needed any more proof of that, Exhibit A, I've took my sunglasses off my cap. Oh, but in other news, my little 6x10 has died. Nothing major, but still very expensive. And I'll explain a bit more about that up in the shed, and we'll go up there and have a look in a minute. First things first though, we're gonna have to bed these cows. You won't believe it, the sun has come out. Next job is we've got to go and take a bale of hay to the cows down the meadows because we started supplementing them with a bit of extra feed. When we get down there, I'll talk you through the maths because it seems complicated, but it's not that complicated. Bungee, can't beat it. Come on, girls. No, come on. Up, 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 up. Watch yourself, watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. Up, 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 up. Right, let me tip it then. Hey, up. Ah. Come on, girls, up. Come on, girl. Jeez. That's a workout and a half. So let me talk you through exactly why we started putting an extra bit of hay in with these girls. So we've got a mob here. There's about 60 odd cows in this group, so there's 125, 130 head of cattle altogether, something like that. This is all the stabilizers and then any late calvers, because we might as well just run wob mob now. Once we get the bulls out of the way, we just chuck everything in together because it's so much easier to manage one group, so they might as well all just be together. So there's only 3 groups in total. Ideally, we'd have it down to a lot less, but yeah, that's a story for another day. Anyway, let me just talk to you how this works. So let's just imagine, for example, that this whole group of cows needs about 1,300 kilograms of dry matter a day allocated to them. Obviously, that's quite a chunky bit of grass to be going through, especially this time of year when the growth is a bit slower. We're starting to get towards winter and things are getting wetter and it's getting a bit more difficult to manage. So what we're doing is we're bringing some dry matter in through using the hay. So let's just, for argument's sake, say that those bales are about 400 kilos. So if that's 400 kilos, we're going to have about 85% of that in dry matter, with it being hay, so about 320 kilos of dry matter. And then we do the maths on the fact that they're probably going to utilise around about 80%. They usually will utilise more than that, but 80 is pretty much a fair bet. So with that maths, if we've got a 400 kilo bale, 320 kilograms of dry matter at 85%, and then a utilisation of 80%, we're looking at about 275 kilograms of utilised dry matter. If these as a group need 1,300 kilos, it means we only have to allocate a ton of dry matter from the field. If we have a surplus then of about a ton per hectare, for example, we can give 1 hectare to the group for grazing and then give a bale of hay, and that sorts them out. Let's just imagine that is the case. So we have a ton of dry matter surplus for grazing on every hectare. If we have to only allocate 1 hectare as opposed to allocating like 1.3 hectares because we're giving the hay, it means that every sort of 3 days or so we gain an extra day's worth of grazing, which means that the grass behind the cows get extra recovery time and the grass in front of the cows takes longer to get to. Theoretically, we're building some grazing, but we're also keeping them out longer, which means that every day that we keep these things outside, we are gaining about 50 pence a head, which is quite a bit of money. Let's just take a look at these calves as well. That's a heifer calf there. Let's see what her number is. This is a bit Greg Judy, this is walking around your cows and getting numbers. What are you, girl? 2840. So that's probably a Wolfgang, but I can't tell. It would be on its tag, the other side. Beautiful calf. It is WG24 Wolfgang. That's one of my AI calves. Here's another heifer calf. Look at that, beautiful deep body. That one's another heifer. Again, same sort of thing. Nice, deep body, it's exactly what I'm after. That one's a heifer too. I'm actually honestly chuffed to bits with how these things have turned out this year, because they've had no calf creep, and there's a bull calf there. There's a big bull calf just in the middle there, which you can't see, but it's huge. They've done so well considering they've had not the best year really. They've had a nice bit of grazing up front, and then it's been a bit of a mediocre summer, and then, if you can call it summer, and then a very wet autumn. Look at that, there's a heifer. Oh, I'll get so excited. I could look at these cows all day. Anyway, I'm gonna go and get something else done whilst the sun is shining. That hay, I'll sort them out. They'll use most of that. You'll come back in the morning, there'll be barely anything left. The biggest challenge we got now with cows is finding somewhere for them to go that's not underwater, because with all the rain we've had, the brook line down the meadows has already started bursting its banks, which doesn't usually happen for at least another month. We've just grazed a lot of the ground away from the brook line, which is kind of annoying because it's just how rotations fell. That's where they've been, and now it's rained and where they need to go is kind of wet, and oh, it's frustrating. Just praying Mother Nature has a word with herself, because someone said something to her and she is upset at the minute and she's not playing ball. We can just do with any help we could get. And it's raining again. Brilliant. So 6.410, let me show you what's wrong with it. Now, you know, back, I don't know when it was, like June, whatever, I was trying to do some wrapping with the 6.410 and we couldn't get any oil pressure. We couldn't get the wrapper to spin. We couldn't get anything going on with it whatsoever. And we just didn't know whether it was a wrapper, didn't know whether it was a tractor. Well, we found out it was actually the tractor. Now, this sits on the straw shredder all the time, and it got to the point where it was struggling to even lift up the hitch. If you turned the floor speed of the shredder up, we couldn't get then to move the spout, which was really annoying. And I was like, we need to do something about this tractor. Rang up Richard Johnson and we found the problem. Now, on the back of here, there is a block. It's covered up at the minute because we've took the bit off and we don't want to get pieces in there, but there's a block that's on the tractor, and the spools this side here go onto some threaded bars and they sit on that side of the block. There's the same on this side. So there's actually the flow and return sit here, and then there's another spool, the third spool there. Now, inside the flow and the return, there's almost a C piece of casting. That C piece of casting has cracked. So what's happening is, as soon as you put pressure on the flow, it's actually then going through the crack and putting all that pressure back into the dump, and we're losing all oil pressure. So therefore we can't actually use the spools. But it's after the diverter valve which works the steering. So steering is completely fine. And that's what kind of threw us at first, because we're like, we thought the steering would be dodgy if the spools are dodgy, but it's after the diverter valve. Now, Richard Johnson said that he'd be able to take the old casting and then put the new bits into the casting. But the trouble is, they have changed the casting, so you can't get the new bits for the old casting. You have to have a full new casting, which, wait for it, is £2,000, which is just an insane amount of money, but the tractor's pretty useless without it, so just got to do it. Another job we've decided is enough's enough is the drill. Now, I know we got it ready last week to go because we were supposed to have a weather window. It never happened. So I'm going to take the seed out of it and then I'm gonna cut a little bit of plate to drop in so that no mice or rats can get in and chew the metering rollers. Then we're gonna hang the seed up in the roof because we don't want anything getting into the seed. No one, rats or mice getting into my seed because it's cost a lot of money. And then we'll put it in the spring because it's all fun and games at the minute. And yeah, it's another job I don't have to do. I guess the only bright side is that it is calibrated ready for the spring. If you can call that a bright side, but we'll take any positives we can get at the minute. We get a bit of string, tie around the top of that bag, then we can put it back on that pallet and string it up in the roof. You can see there what we did with the other 40 odd bags of seed. We've got some ratchet straps and strapped it round the RSJ. And if you look at the side here, you'll see we've gone top side of the joist and then top side of that joist so that they can't slip. And then we're just gonna park something underneath so no one walks underneath it. I reckon if we try, we can probably squeeze the other one in just the wall side of that because it's not so big, it's not so heavy, so I reckon we can just squeeze it in there and then it'll be tucked away nicely and out of harm's way. So back in the drill, I just need to cut a bit of plate. It's about the same size as that hole just to sit on top of those metering rollers and prevent anything chewing it, because before now we've had a rat get in here and literally chew its way out, and they're a hell of a job to put back in. 16 centimeters that way by about 16 that way. A rat will not chew through that piece of checker plate. Look at that. Nice and thick. But it also will not lose its footing. So, win-win. Let's take the TorraMór off before I do any more because this thing is far too precious to get around the angle grinder. One thing I am going to say, however, is this stuff, TorraMór coats, doesn't matter, coat, the leggings, the smocks, the jumpers, it does not matter. It is next level. I have never been so dry, and I don't think that I've ever been so wet as I have this week, if that makes sense. That will withstand everything. Like nothing that has been thrown at it yet has penetrated that jacket. It is incredible. Worth every penny. Absolutely amazing. Awesome jacket. Just, there's nothing that can match it. I tell you now. That should do it. Beautiful, look at that. Hey, if you haven't seen it already, why not check out this video? Or you can subscribe by clicking on that logo. Alternatively, head to www.bodysfarm.com where you can read more about the farm, check out some blog posts, or treat yourself to some of the amazing clothing that we wear here every single day. Cheers.